Would you like to get a handle over the world markets? Would you like to see gold, Bitcoin, the NASDAQ, and the S&P all in one place? Well, every single Friday, I do that for you. I do a macro technical analysis where we look at all the big picture assets that basically show you where the world is going. We're going to look at the DXY. We're going to look at the Bitcoin dominance and how much money is flowing into Bitcoin, into altcoins. And we're going to also look at the NASDAQ, gold, oil, and more. So let's jump on into it. The first thing I always look at is BTC. And then we go from there. So we're going to start with Bitcoin, break it down for you on the macro, and show you where I believe we're going based on probability in years and years. I've been a technical analyst for about 10, 12 years now, and I've been on YouTube for over 7 years, live streaming every single day for 5 years, and I've been trading for 20. So I've been doing this a long time, and I can see things that the average person just may not notice about the charts. The first thing I want to talk about is the bottom. I've been saying now for ever since even that low right there, that was the bottom for Bitcoin. And the reason why is I really study the fear and greed index, the one on alternative.me. And whenever we've hit a single digit, 9, 8, it's been a bottom. And we hit 5 twice and 8. And we hit 5 when we made this, massive dip there twice. And then we hit 8 around these areas too. And so because Bitcoin never hits those areas, and it's very rare, it tells me that is a screaming buy. Yesterday, I bought 1.3 Bitcoin. The other day, I bought more. I continuously gobble up BTC at these prices because we're not going to get the chance to get Bitcoin again, I believe, at these prices. So it's a double bottom on the monthly. If you take a look from this impulse, which is that wick, all the way up, and we hit Alt F there, you can see it hit 886. And if we go from this, the beginning of this level, which is the beginning of the bull market, to the top, we came down to the 618, and we bounced off the 618 Fibonacci. You don't always have to go into the golden pocket, and you don't have to go to the 786, but you should be hitting the 618. And look, we did that. We came right to the 618. We even front ran it. So you can see institutions front ran the 618 a little bit and the golden pocket. They didn't let it get there. We're also breaching this trend line. Another thing is the 2-week chart has bullish divergence. We haven't seen bullish divergence on the 2-week chart in a long, long time. You can see in a green R here on the stochastics RSI with divs. 1, 2 right there in the bear market bottom, and 3 right there in the pandemic bottom. It's only happened 3 times. There it is yet again. To me, this is a screaming bottom for Bitcoin. I don't know what else to tell you. I've been saying it for weeks now. This is probably one of the greatest places to buy Bitcoin and the greatest prices. If some black swan event forced us to go down to 49 to 50K, this price today would still be a great DCA coupled with that price. Like you go to 40K and you bought 60K, then you buy 40K, you're even at 50. You get back to 50, you're break even. So I am bullish on Bitcoin in the long term, on the weekly, and the daily below we could see some chop and there's an up and down. But look, you're on the weekly 200 moving average, another very likelihood area where you buy close to the bottom. So to me, if this isn't the bottom, I'd be very, very confused. Weekly bullish divergence too as well on the RSI, screaming that this is one of the greatest opportunities to buy an asset. And this is on you put this on any asset. If you saw the S&P doing this, if you saw the NASDAQ doing this, if you saw any chart that had 10, 20 years of charting and you saw that you were making a bullish divergence on the weekly, you would have to pay attention, folks. I really urge you to understand this concept and to know that it's a very likely, high probability, without any emotions, that Bitcoin has made a bottom and is likely going to start a trend move somewhere. To me, it looks more like we're going to have a head and shoulder. We're going to get out of this up a little bit. Then we're going to come back down for the retest. And then somewhere around November 1st is when we make that higher low to make the right shoulder. That's the actual higher low. That's when we confirm the end. And and then we just start this. And it's not going to be it's going to be up, it's going to be down, it's not going to be perfect. Now, I don't think it's going that low, but it's going to be up, down, up, sideways, up, big pump, pull back. But in the long run, we're going to continue kind of like we did here on a beautiful run to the upside, somewhere to the $175,000, $180,000 region. And that's what I see happening for BTC. All right. And that's Bitcoin in a bit of a nutshell. I like to look at Bitcoin dominance. Why? Bitcoin dominance tells you how much money is flowing into Bitcoin compared to altcoins. When Bitcoin's hot and heavy, Bitcoin dominance tends to get excitable, and it actually is the first thing you want to see. Before altcoins pump, I like to see Bitcoin dominance go on a tear. I like to see a lot of money flow into Bitcoin. I like to see the dollar dump. And I like to see speculation flood into Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin people make a lot of money, they take those extra gains and they start looking at Ethereum and altcoins and get even more risky. So I'm looking for this breakout. It's a bit of a double bottom for me personally, the way I look at that. And I see this booming up, which tells me that Bitcoin dominance is starting. Now, we might come up and make a right shoulder. We'll see. But it says to me, for the next couple of weeks, it says we have a pump for Bitcoin dominance. Now, you would like to see people sell their Tether. If they're hoarding Tether, that's usually not a great sign, right? We want to see, look, here's a bear div here, a very strong bearish divergence on Tether dominance. So let's kind of talk about that. We see a bit of a double top here on Tether Dom. 1, 2. And so I expect this kind of rising wedge, even if I got a little bit of a move, to eventually kind of break down, bearishly retest, and drop down here. And this is really good. This is telling me that Tether dominance is about to lose some dominance. And again, when is Tether dominance? Our bull runs. Whenever we lose Tether dominance, we get a nice run. Look, 2020, right? Back in 2017, you could see Tether dominance was so low, Here's a beautiful run there, and so as we start to drop, Tether dominance usually creates that, coincides with Bitcoin pumping to the upside. I like to look at the DXY, which has been struggling, and we went on the stream today and suggested we would see lower lows on the DXY. So what am I seeing? Well, I saw a double top. We came down. We then come and bearishly retested this support right there at about 101. And then we just, we ate it. We got this bearish move back to the downside. Look at the curvature on the 200 on the weekly. That's not bullish. The 3-day chart getting rejected by the 200. We may see some little bounce here, a little bit of a bounce. But for the most part, I see this kind of continuing the downtrend that it's in. Coming up, making some type of right shoulder, and then continuing somewhere down here. And just the DXY continuing to lose value over time as they continue to print more and more money, folks. And you can even see we got like a top trend line, a bottom trend line, and I see us kind of trending right back down here somewhere to 93 on the DXY. I like to take a look at gold. Had a nice little pump recently, and we'll kind of talk about why and what happened there. So let's look at gold. Gold had a massive run up to the upside. Once it does that, I would take impulse from around here because that was where you could take impulse from there, but I like to take impulse from there. That was the really main consolidation. What do I mean by impulse? It's where I pull a Fibonacci. And look, that came to the 786, the 618 Fibonacci. And if you DCA into these areas on big time frames with an idea to hold, it can be a very nice payday over time. Now, gold, that's a massive breakout for gold on the 3-day chart. That's not small. That means it's substantial. It means it's likely going to continue. At this point, you would have to start looking for some type of flag or consolidation. A little bit of bear div on the 1 hour, so I need to see this turn into another flag, but that's what I'm looking for. And then the daily, with gold, really the big trade is this. I would start to see how this consolidates. And if this gets tight and the 21 comes back into play, oh my gosh, that could be a great trade for gold. So big term, I see some sideways price action like this. Small term, you might see some small scalps. But this is a momentous move for gold. I see gold continuing. Like, this isn't going to stop. It broke a serious trend line. Shoulder, head, right shoulder. Look, cup and handle. And then it broke out to the upside for gold. Same with silver. Silver looking interesting because if you keep printing money to zero, these scarce assets are going to go up. There's less silver and gold in the world, right? And so even remember I said I think silver looks pretty closer to the bottom. Maybe it goes a little closer to 50, but man, it got to bounce. And to me, same thing. Unless it's some type of fake move that comes back pretty fast, and it doesn't suggest it is based on probability. That's a big breach of a nice trend line for silver. It's the same idea. You're looking to see how long this consolidation can go for. It very well could right shoulder and dump back down. We want to see it go sideways. If the 1 hour goes sideways, we got a bigger continuation coming on the daily. Silver looks like it could be good to trade Monday afternoon, something like that, maybe even Monday morning. Might even, it's interesting. I like what I'm seeing there for silver. And then we talked about a pump on the S&P. If you remember, the last time I was here, I said I see the S&P bouncing. 11 days ago, I gave you this trade. I gave you the stop loss, and I said this is a great entry for the S&P. It nailed it. It hit it to the upside. You can go to my top-down analysis from 2 weeks ago and be like, dang, this guy, not 2 weeks ago now, But I nailed it, man, and it was one of the best calls I ever had. And I could see it because we were oversold. I knew they were printing money. It didn't make sense. The logic behind the move didn't make sense if they were going to print money like they were. I see the same thing with the NASDAQ. Bounce back to the upside and then consolidation. Get ready for the NASDAQ and the S&P to go up, go sideways for about the whole month of September and chop. And then as we always do, October, November, we get ready for these massive run-ups. And the NASDAQ and the S&P, it happens almost every single year. So exciting times to be ahead, to look at this. I like what we're seeing. And I'm looking for a big moves in the S&P and the NASDAQ, new all-time highs as we continue over into December and January for the big picture. So that's kind of, that's what we want to look at in the macro. Your gold, your silver. Another thing I always like to kind of glance at now is oil, with what's happening with the crude. I see oil actually getting a bit of a bounce. And the reason is because there's still issues in the strait. We're going back and forth, and the dollar loses value. Now, maybe we right shoulder and eventually dump here, but I do see oil possibly pumping with gold and Bitcoin. The Bitcoin and they can all pump together if the dollar takes enough of a hit. So I see kind of this everything bubble in the next few weeks as the dollar really loses more and more value. I think you want to focus on that. Okay. But, that's it, everyone. That's our top-down analysis for Bitcoin, the S&P futures, the NASDAQ, gold, oil, the DXY, Bitcoin dominance, Tether dominance, just to kind of give you an overall idea of where we're at and where we're going. They try to scare us with that dip of the S&P and the NASDAQ. I stayed strong and really, put my TA to the test. So God bless you. If you like this type of technical analysis and it's something that you really resonate with, I do it every single day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Also an impromptu live stream somewhere between 8 and 10 on Saturday and Sunday mornings. 7 days a week. And if you want to learn more about me and get my updates, every single Discord that, every single altcoin that I'm getting into, any single time I see a trade on Bitcoin, all my leveraged Bitcoin trades, anything I'm doing, go to cryptolifer.com. You can jump on into my Discord and you can shadow me and learn about all the stuff that I'm doing. Learn about my team, my elite, and everything that the Discord has to offer, including a course in there that people are charging thousands of dollars for just for $99 access. You'll have access to a beautiful trading course that can really put a lot of insight and help you. So go to cryptolifer.com to find out more. I'm live streaming every single day without a day off for the last 5 years. Jump on in and watch the streak continue.